The Packers get to stay cozy at home, patiently waiting for Sunday's big game against the Denver Broncos. We preview the matchup, including our crazy predictions, and share your feedback next on the Packers Fan Podcast.
Thanks for joining us on another victory edition of your Packers Fan Podcast, the show by and for fans of your 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers. I am Scott Clark, and it feels fantastic to see 2-0 on the leaderboard. Woohoo!
Oh, yeah. And I'm Wayne Henderson, and I do sometimes get misty-eyed when I realize what an exceptional franchise the Green Bay Packers are, how beautiful the games look at Lambeau Field, and even on TV they look fantastic. With that being said, this is episode 183, recorded September 16th, 2019, and on this edition of the Packers Fan Podcast, we're going to discuss the fact that the Packers beat another NFC North rival. Can I get a Go Pack Go?
Go Pack Go!
The game was 25% brilliant, 40% okay, and 35% what the hell's going on out there?
And we'll also have results of our weekly Twitter and Facebook poll. We'll preview Week 3 matchup against the Denver Broncos. Can the Heart Attack Pack make it 3 in a row? And as always, we'll have your feedback from 920-3PACK-GO, as well as from our social media outlets. Check out the show notes for this episode at PackersFanPodcast.com.
And as far as highlights from this game, because there were quite a few, especially since we did beat the Purple Ones, my wife and I, we went over to my son's home to watch the game because somehow they got a great deal on the NFL Sunday Ticket through their DirecTV. So we have an outlet to watch. And so
nice.
we did double duty. We got to see the kids, see the 3 little grandkids, and my son is already doing some fine parenting with our 2-year-old grandson, Ben, to make sure he was ready for the game. Check out this little clip here.
Go, Pack, go!
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 Yes, good parenting in action.
I love it. There's a video floating around somewhere on Facebook of me and my buddy Sean's son, Abe, who when he was, 2 years old, I had him in my arms and I was trying to teach him how to say Go Pack Go, which is hilarious because Sean is a diehard 49ers fan and I was corrupting him in his mind, but he got a kick out of it, so I love it.
You got to do what you can. My nephew, for whatever reason, is a Cowboys fan and try to teach his daughters to say Go Pack Go, but he's got them brainwashed.
That's unfortunate. How are you gonna go to the Cowboys, man?
I know he's from Iowa and his whole family are Packers fans. He had to buck the trend.
Can't win them all, man.
The Packers can. We'll see. I thought it was really heartwarming pre-game as well as halftime when Brett Favre escorted Cherry Starr, Bart Starr's wife. It was just, I got chills because she was so happy to be there. This was going to be one of the first Packers games at Lambeau Field she's ever seen without Bart Starr being at her side. And it was just great to see Cherry out there helping celebrate Bart Starr.
And like you said, it was good to see the smile on her face. I know that had to be kind of difficult for her to get out there, for this first game, but she just looked like she was having the time of her life and was so excited to be on the field. That smile was infectious. I couldn't help but sit there and just smile at her. And Favre holding her hand, just escorting her out there, it was fantastic. What a beautiful moment.
And Favre was wearing a Bart Starr number 15 t-shirt.
Yes. Respect, man. Respect.
You got to have it. It's pretty styling.
I also kind of thought it was funny that the newscast I was watching was kind of highlighting the fact that he was there, and they kept focusing on, he used to be a Viking and he used to be a Jet, and they were interviewing there was a person that was a diehard Brett Favre fan more than they were a Packers fan, and they were interviewing her, and nobody cared, man. He's there. He is. No matter what colors he was wearing when he left, he will always be a Green Bay Packer in my eyes.
Right. It just like Jerry Rice. He made it to a few other teams after the Niners. Even Joe Montana. It happens to the best of them. Hopefully not to Aaron Rodgers, but it really was all about the Packers and beating the Vikings and celebrating the late, great Bart Starr. The stadium just looked fantastic Most of the crowd was green and gold, thankfully, and they looked great. The players looked great. The uniforms and the field. I never thought I'd be so excited about a field, but the grass at Lambeau, especially this week, pristine, Scott, pristine.
Oh man, I don't know if you've ever taken a tour of Lambeau Field, but they have some really fascinating facts about the grass there. I went and did a tour with my wife, and it is insane how that sod is secured to the dirt and how there's these black microfibers that are holding it in place. And they talked about how many hundreds of thousands of them were in there. Next time you ever get up there, man, you've got to take that tour. It's fascinating. When I was there, I also got to visit the locker room, not the Packers locker room, but the guest locker room. And it's the closest I'll probably ever get to Favre because I actually sat in the locker space that was Favre's locker when he was there playing as a Viking, which was a pretty surreal moment for me.
Interesting. I will have to take that tour, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the game itself, wow, Scott, that first quarter, Aaron Rodgers was throwing darts.
Yeah, you talked about this being the highlight section. I think we should just call the first quarter the highlight section. Although the defense did great the other three, but man, I felt like we were back in Chicago again for the second, third, and fourth quarters of this game. Just nothing was coming together. But that first quarter was fantastic. When we popped up at 21 points, I was like, "All right, boys, if we just do this the rest of the season, it's going to be fantastic."
Yeah, if they could have kept up that pace, I can't even imagine what the score would have been. It's hard to keep up that pace, and I'm sure, they shook off a few cobwebs. Things were so much better. Things did bog down. The defense really saved our bacon. But at one rate, in the first quarter, I think Aaron Rodgers was throwing a touchdown every 5 or 6 minutes.
Did you just say saved our bacon? That is a brand new phrase on me, man. I got to catch up to you in years, I think. I've never heard that one.
Save your bacon?
Yeah, I've never heard save your bacon. Is that a California thing?
I don't think so. Listeners, give us a call at 920-3PACK-GO if you've ever heard save your bacon. Maybe it is a classic. Maybe it's what the kids are saying on the streets these days. I don't know.
Oh, man. It's on fleek. That's,
Oh, man. Wow. Rodgers did complete 9 of his first 10 passes for 134 yards and 2 touchdowns, and at that point had a perfect 158.3 rating through the first quarter. And I still don't understand how something as odd as 158.3 is what they call perfect. But
I don't understand how it's a perfect rating if you still had 12 incomplete passes. So I don't understand the whole quarterback rating, and why is it an odd number, and why wouldn't 100 be a perfect rating? I don't know. That's why we're not the experts, man.
The metric system, they need to adopt it and bring it in.
Yes.
At the end of the day, he finished 22 of 34 for 209 yards. But like he even said in the post-game presser, a win is a win, and that's what counts the most. But a lot of guys really stepped up this week. Geronimo Allison, Devontae Adams, Jamal Williams, and Aaron Jones. And on defense, Kevin King. What do you think?
Well, that first play was to Devontae Adams. What was it? I think it was like a 40-yarder. He threw him over on the sideline. That was what just kicked things off, and then we just kept marching down the field. But it was good to see some of these names again. I mean, we saw them a little bit last week, but I was like, all right, we are back in the groove. This is green and gold. Let's make this happen, and thankfully they did.
And in the end, although it's been a year and a half, the Packers have won 2 in a row. Yeah, baby.
I'm just saying, Wayne, since you brought me onto this podcast, the Packers have not lost a game. So
that's a good point.
I could be your new your good luck charm here.
Hey, we're going to 19-0. It's on the horizon.
Let's do it, man. Wouldn't you just be beside yourself? Scott is never leaving this show.
It's a party, a Super Bowl party, whatever network it's on this year.
So we got to speak hypothetically here, man, because if that does happen, if we do get to the Super Bowl this year, 19-0 or not, we got to watch that game together, right? Like in person, at least over Skype or something. Yeah,
we need to get as much of the gang together as we can. And
yeah, totally.
I haven't even looked to see where the game is this year because unless the Packers are in it, it doesn't matter. But I know in a year or two, it's going to be right down the street in L.A., well, hour and a half away, at their shiny new stadium.
Yeah, I wanted to say there was Lucas Oil back in 2005, right? I felt like they were going back there, but I could be wrong. What Super Bowl number is this?
It's some Roman numerals.
Why do we still use Roman numerals, by the way? We can't adopt the metric system, but we can use the Roman numerals.
Yeah, so it looks like Super Bowl 54. They're going back to Miami. It's now known as the Hard Rock Stadium. I think it's been 5 different names over the years with as many Super Bowls that they've had there.
Well, one thing for sure is that Miami will not be playing in that dome.
Anything's possible. Anything's possible, but it's not looking good.
Man, I will eat my shorts if Miami makes it to the Super Bowl. How about that?
If it's Giants versus Dolphins?
Oh, my goodness. No, it's not going to happen either.
No, not going to happen. Like you alluded to earlier, Scott, the other 3 quarters were not quite as spectacular. Aaron Rodgers still getting hit way too often.
Yes, the offensive line definitely needs some work there. I feel like we can't get the best of both worlds when it comes to the Pack. We either have a really good offense or we have a really good defense. We just need to make both of those things happen at the same time, please.
That would be fantastic. I'm all for it. But the fact that even though he got knocked around quite a bit, he did escape Chicago and Minnesota, the 2 teams that broke him in the previous 2 seasons. He made it out of those pretty much unscathed. So,
well, except for that, whatever's going on with his hand, there was a play where he got knocked down and then came up kind of gripping his wrist a little bit, and he still played and stuck it out. But that makes me nervous, especially if it's his throwing arm. I mean, it makes me nervous just for his safety and health anyway, but for the future of the team as well.
Something to keep an eye on. I didn't see any mention of it anywhere today necessarily, but then again, they could be keeping it under wraps. But that did make me nervous when I saw it happen. I'm like, no, not again. No.
Yeah. It's the last 2 seasons, wasn't it, that he went down early? I mean, granted, he did pull that miracle against Chicago that first game, which, was, I love that, but don't want to have those nail biters anymore. Can we win by double digits at least, please?
Spoiler alert, maybe this week. And how about tackling? Maybe we could get some of that going on.
How many times did I text you in the middle of this game and said, "Can you freaking tackle, please?" It was I was flabbergasted by the missed tackles. It's just, and we've been praising the defense for the last 2 weeks now. You guys got to tackle. Oh my goodness, that running back was just kept pushing and pushing and pushing down the field. And
I know they practice fundamentals like tackling all week. Right. I don't know why sometimes in the game, obviously I couldn't do it, but at the same time, these are pros, and I've seen some good tackling in some of the other games that were played. So Packers, pull it up.
As much as I love to see them go up with 21 points in the first quarter, I always get worried when I see a team do that because they kind of feel like they're a little comfortable. And like we don't have to focus on the fundamentals anymore. We can kind of relax a little bit, and not the good kind of relax that Aaron Rodgers wants us to do. And maybe that's what was going on here, is that they're like, we're up good. We don't really have to push as hard and just be on fire. We'll just stay where we're at.
That could be part of it because it was just incredible. I mean, it does pose the question, how do you go from being on fire for an entire quarter and then pretty much coast, or in some people would say tank, the rest of the game and just rely on your defense to make sure that you have more points when you run out? How does that happen? Do you think it's, like you said, just relaxing too much, getting too comfortable, or?
Well, I can't speak for the players. I can only just speak.
Scott,
I can't, man. I mean, I know me personally. That is my personality. If I were ahead by 3 scores, I would probably not be putting forth 110% anymore, because there's no point. There's no slaughter rule in football. You know
That's
what I mean?
for sure. Just ask Bill Belichick and the Patriots. They do not seem to have that particular problem. They go a little overboard with beating up the opponent. And granted, they've scored a lot of points the last 2 weeks, but look who they played. I mean, come on. But
right.
They do not pull up on the gas ever. Heck, they didn't even do it in preseason.
Yeah, exactly. And that's part of why they're not the most loved football team in the NFL.
So the Packers need to find the balance of not taking their foot off the gas but not just really showing up the opponent and making him feel bad and go home crying.
Exactly. It's all about balance, man. That's what it is. Packers Fan Podcast G-Force. Be a part of the show. Let your voice be heard. You can call us at 920-3PACK-GO or at packersfanpodcast.com/feedback. We got a voicemail first off from my new favorite listener, Andre in LA, who called us around the halftime mark of the game. And hopefully he comes out with a hearty Go Pack Go again this time. Let's listen.
Hey guys, Go Pack Go! Go Pack Go! It's Andre in LA. It's not even halftime yet, but I just felt the need to call in because the Packers are killing the Vikes. I just want to quickly make it real brief. Point out that Aaron Rodgers said it last week about the defense. I said it last week about the defense. Kenny Clark out of UCLA, we got to give that man his money. Blake Martinez, Dean Lowry, okay. The defense looks great. Offense looks spectacular. I got a feeling about this year. Go Pack Go. I'll talk to you guys after the game. Love you guys. Andre in LA.
Thanks a lot, Andre. Really love the hearty Go Pack Go at the beginning, man. You keep that going, brother. I love hearing that from you. So I can't agree with you anymore about Kenny Clark. I think what he's doing is fantastic. And Dean Lowry, I got to give a shout out to Dean because he's actually from my town. He went to high school here in Rockford. Actually met him at an event a couple years ago. I think it was his rookie year, actually. My school was putting on my school wasn't putting on an event, but there was an event at a local restaurant where they were hosting Dean Lowry and then one of the Chicago Bears. And one of the teachers was supposed to take a group of kids to go to this restaurant for a meet and greet, and he was not able to go, so he asked me if I wanted to go. And I said, sure, twist my arm. And I got to pick a bunch of students to go with me and got to meet Dean Lowry, and he's a very nice guy. And it was awesome, always awesome to meet a Green Bay Packer.
No doubt about that. Then Andre called back right after the game, slightly different tone in his voice, but we were still victorious. So, Andre, carry on.
But yes, I like the secondary. I'm not sure what happened with the run defense. The Vikings do have a great offensive line, and they do have a really, really good, strong, fast running back. He was running over our defensive line at times. It was very impressive from watching the opposition. I'm just curious what your thoughts were on the game. It was kind of disturbing to see the offense stall so much. Maybe we should have took the points on that 4th and 2, played a little bit more conservative considering how the defense momentum was starting to shift. But I'm just curious what your thoughts were on the game. I'm very happy with the win. I'm glad we're winning the close ones. I feel a little bit more comfortable if we want a blowout. I look forward to who we play next week. I'm not looking at the schedule. I'm just very happy for the victory. Can't wait to hear the podcast. Green and gold, so I'm dead and cold. Andre in LA.
Andre, thanks again for giving us a call at 920-3PACK-GO. And I am also very glad we're winning the close games because that's when it really hurts to lose the close ones. Great question about should we have taken the points on that 4th and 2. I was thinking the same thing. And then later I saw Aaron Rodgers' press conference and he takes full blame. He thinks, or at the time, he thought it was a first down. It looked like it was going to be a first down. Matt LaFleur takes some of the blame for not being more clear in communicating with Aaron Rodgers through the headset to let him know that it was 4th down. So it was just a case of, oops, I thought it was first down.
Gotcha, but I'm okay with taking the risks too. LaFleur is stepping into a very large role here, and at some point he does need to take those unpopular risks, and especially when they pay off. I mean, to ask shoulda, coulda, woulda, those are impossible questions to answer because you don't know what would have happened if we tried the other thing. So I'm just looking at that we came out of it with the W, and that's all that's important to me. So.
Hi, this is Scott Morris calling from the shadows of Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And so Scott Clark doesn't call me out. Go, Pack, go! I just wanted to say after this weekend, one of the things I really liked was the offense starting out strong. Running the ball, throwing the ball, running screen passes. It was really nice to see. My second thought is the defense is looking really good. They played against a very good running back, and besides a few big plays, they held him in check. My third thing is it's 2 division wins. That's huge. It's better than the way they started off last year. And I've never said this before, so I'll try to do it. I bleed green and gold until I'm dead and cold. Thanks, guys.
Awesome, Scott. Got to give a shout out to that guy. He is actually a listener of the Gaming Outsider podcast. I actually met him in Green Bay a couple years ago when my wife was up there doing, it was either a 5K or a half marathon that finished in Lambeau Field, and I stopped to meet him for a drink and talk to him for a while. Really great guy. And also, he actually, we've got the gaming convention coming up. He couldn't make it, but he felt really bad that he couldn't help, so he actually donated a couple tickets to my community so that somebody could actually go to the R2V2 convention on him. So I thought that was really, really cool of him. But as far as what he's talking about the Packers, yes, I think the best thing he said there was the 2 division wins. Not only did we win 2 games right out the gate here, but we won 2 games against people in the NFC North. That is huge. That makes those wins so much more valuable, in my opinion. And we are just poised for a fantastic season. And I'm genuinely looking forward to next week, even more than I thought I was at the beginning of the Vikings game.
Hi, this is Mark from New Lisbon. I usually have note cards and everything, so I'm going to just kind of stream of consciousness this. It was just a great win. I was hearing people complaining on the post game that they didn't score any points in the second half. Well, they won. That's the bottom line. The concern I had was the first half they were playing up tempo and they were snapping the ball with like 15 seconds to go on the clock, and then in the second half they kind of went away from that. But I'm sure they'll work it out. Kevin King had a huge play, and he's such an integral part of their defense. If he can play like that all year, it'll be great. I just love their defense. I wish they had one more stud receiver on offense, and I don't think it's Des Bryant, but we'll see. So it was just a great win. It looked like the Bears are going to be 0-2, but they pulled it out. This team is really, really good, and I think they can take the division. So go Pack Go. You guys have a great podcast. It's a lot more fun to listen to when they win. So hopefully next week they'll go 3-0. Thanks, guys.
No, thank you, Mark. Greatly appreciate the call. Yes, great win. And yeah, if we can keep the tempo up to start the games, not only does it keep the crowd in it, I think it keeps the team in it. And I think the Packers are going to learn a lot from this past game.
I agree 100%. I love what he said. It's more fun to listen to when we come off of a win. I don't know what doing a podcast after a loss feels like, Mark. So hopefully I don't have to experience that. But we got a lot of season left.
Let's check back on the listener line at 920-3-PACK-GO.
Hi, Wayne and Scott. This is David out in Virginia. Just wanted to give a couple thoughts on the game. Really like to see how the offense came out at the beginning. Really didn't like how they sputtered in the second half, though. I think Rodgers made some poor throws in the second half. Vikings made some great adjustments, but I think he missed some throws that he definitely should have been able to make. The other thing is the rush defense, even though Minnesota has a great running attack. Really like to see them shore that up. A lot of missed tackles. And they looked very gassed towards the end. A couple of plays where it looks like they just kind of stopped on the tackle and Minnesota got a few extra yards after it. But, as you always say, a win's a win. So go Pack Go.
I will agree that they looked a little rusty towards the end of the game, but I think a lot of that is attributed to the fact that they were on the field for so much. We kept getting those 3-and-outs and couldn't get things to go on offense. So of course, the defense is going to run out of energy. And as far as AR-12 and his poor throws in the second half especially, it's hard to defend a guy that is a Super Bowl winning quarterback like Aaron Rodgers and say, hey, this is the second game in the season, but it's the second game in the season. He didn't do anything in preseason except for warm-ups and practices. He's not really played against anybody in however many months. I think there's still some time for him to get it together. I'm still hopeful, and I'm excited to see what the rest of the season is going to look like. Thanks for the call, David.
And there's always a chance that perhaps it had something to do with that hand banging that happened.
Exactly. Could have been whatever happened there, yeah. We've also got an email from Steven. He says, Steven checking in, both happy and mad here in Palos Park, Illinois. I tuned in the game with Wayne Larrivee and Larry McCarron close to the end of the second quarter. I heard a touchdown, but I had to get something down, so I didn't hear, but they would have taken the touchdown away from the Minnesota Vikings. Regarding J.K. Scott, it looks like J.K. stands for John Kimball, although just kidding is still pretty funny.
No doubt.
Since this game wasn't widely aired in America, Wayne, did you have to go out for breakfast to watch today's game? And if so, does that person at the restaurant's host desk greet you at first on a first-name basis? Like when you entered the restaurant, did they say, "Good morning, Wayne, would you like your usual table with your Packers game?"
Well, not exactly, though they do know, there's that Packers fan. And there's always, believe it or not, even here in Southern California, even if I'm there a few minutes early before kickoff, there's always other Packers fans there. So there is always a Packers game on, not on a first-name basis. But this year, unless something goes crazy with my son's DirecTV, we might just head on over to the son's house and watch the game with them and the grandkids. Or if they head out to church, we'll just crash the house and watch it. They gave us an open invitation. We'll bring our own breakfast, but if I do need to, I'll be heading out to Jake's and get my semi-usual table and French toast with liquid butter and.
Oh yeah. Talk slower.
Liquid
butter. It'll be a lot cheap. It'll be a lot cheaper for you too, because then you don't have to buy super expensive breakfast out and about. So it is kind of funny going out and visiting other cities and seeing how many Packers fans are in some of these local establishments. I was in Mesa, Arizona, visiting my dad for Christmas a few years ago, and we stopped in to watch a game, and there were Packer fans everywhere. I was in Minnesota at the Mall of America. There is a store in the mall that is an exclusive Packers fan, not pro shop, but they sell only Packers stuff and cheese.
Wait a minute.
I'm
Minnesota at the Mall of America?
Yeah, dude.
Now, I'm sure they have, a Viking store as well, but just because they're in Minnesota.
One.
Oh, but the fact they have a Packers one, that's gotta make some people a little frustrated.
And I got to tell you, some of the best cheese I have ever had. There was a smoky sharp cheddar that was to die for. I bought 2 bricks of it, and it's long gone, but I got to get some more of that.
Oh, absolutely. Head on over.
Yeah, absolutely. Steven goes on to say, next we play the Broncos, who lost to the Bears today. I hope that Matt LaFleur is forcing the team to watch the Broncos-Bears game to help them be ready. As far as your contest, whoever gets the most points, the loser has to buy the winner a meal at Culver's. But of course, Wayne has to come to the Midwest, or we both have to meet in Arizona. I'm sure that the Denver Broncos will be starving for their first win of the season under Vic Fangio. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yes.
I'm glad that we've finally beaten the Minnesota Vikings, and now that just leaves the Detroit Lions to beat, and we'll see them soon. Steven.
Excellent.
Thanks so much for that. I like what he says about buying a Culver's meal. That's got to be the thing, whether it be Arizona, Wisconsin, Illinois. I like it.
I've never
seen Butterburgers
seen...
on the loser.
Oh, Butterburgers. Butter makes everything better. It's fantastic. Really, and I've never seen the Culver's in Arizona, but I've been told that there's one there. Of course, it might not taste quite the same as if it was in Illinois or Wisconsin. But
I've been to Culver's outside of the Midwest, and they taste pretty much the same. It's very much a franchised situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And no doubt the Broncos the Packers are going to be watching that Broncos-Bears game to get ready, because I couldn't believe how that game ended. I thought for sure that with something like 20, 30 seconds left, that the Broncos actually won that game.
Mm-hmm.
And then
53-yard field goal to seal the deal. And no, it was not Parkey. Just saying.
No double doinks, nope. None of that stuff. And who would have thought that at this point, the Lions, with their one win and their one tie, are technically in second place in the NFC North behind the Green Bay Packers.
That is kind of crazy how ties work. Ties are so weird in the NFL.
Which means the Chicago Bears are in last place. That's too bad.
Aw.
Just a quick reminder, the deadline to get your voicemails and emails in to be part of the podcast for now will be Sundays at 11 p.m. Central. Obviously, the sooner the better, because when the game is fresh in your mind, especially when it's victory, we'd love to hear that enthusiasm at 920-3-PACK-GO. Coming up a little bit later, the Packers will be playing on Monday night, and we'll figure out something then, because I think we're going to watch the game instead of podcast about it, and then we'll podcast about it some other time.
There you go.
Something like that. We did have our weekly poll on Twitter and in our Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community group. What final score do you predict from next Sunday's Broncos at Packers game? And this time the listeners get to go first, and then when we are recapping, we'll share our predictions and who was closest this week. I want to thank you for all your votes. We got well over 70 votes between Facebook and Twitter. The averages comes out pretty much what I expected, except for the winner that edged out because a strong showing in the Facebook group. 54% of the voters said the Packers will win big for a change by at least 8 points.
I sure hope so.
And
my heart can't handle it anymore, man.
Speaking of your heart, the Heart Attack Pack will win another close game, so says 44% of the voters. And then somebody who is either grumpy or a troll gave 2% of the votes to the fact that the Broncos will steal a victory. I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah, it's the NFL. Miami could win a game this week, too. So
I wish they would have beat the Patriots, but that's a whole nother thing. And Chris Clement on Twitter just summed things up by saying it was an ugly win.
Well, the second, third, and fourth quarters were ugly wins. Yes. Man, if we could have kept that first quarter going for the whole game, it would have been great. It would have been an exciting game. But no, I was still glued to the whole game. Couldn't take my eyes off of it.
Oh, absolutely. Even just to look at the field. But the fact that the Packers were playing made it that much better. And they're going to play there again because the 2-0 Green Bay Packers stay at home to host the 0-2 Denver Broncos Sunday, September 22nd, again at noon Central. This time, Joe Flacco is the Broncos quarterback. That's going to be different, Scott.
Yeah, he came from Baltimore, correct? He was a Raven before?
For
Am I getting that right?
Many years.
And it'll be... I didn't watch any of the Broncos' first two games because I was glued to my TV watching my own games. But it'll still be fun to see him in that jersey, but it will be even more fun to see him get shut down. And I really hope that's what happens.
Well, all time in the series, and we have not played the Broncos very many times, the Broncos technically, for now, lead the series 7 wins to 6 wins for us. And again, a tie got in there.
So we can knot it up this weekend, is what you're saying.
Exactly. And then it's onward and upward. And the plan has been for the Packers to wear their quote-unquote third jersey, a.k.a. the throwback jersey for this particular game. It's that recreation of the blue and gold look that the Packers had from 37 to 48. During that time, though, wearing the blue and gold, the Packers won 2 of its 13 world championships.
Mm-hmm.
But when the Packers wear it as just a throwback jersey, we're only 2-2. So it makes me think that maybe that just for this week, instead of green and gold till dead and cold, we're going to have to temporarily say yellow and blue until I'm oozing goo. Or I couldn't think of anything good that rhymes with yellow.
Wayne, that was a bad dad joke, man.
A bad dad? Or just a bad joke?
That was awful. That was awful.
What do you got for blue and yellow or gold and blue or whatever?
I don't know. What rhymes with yellow?
Mellow?
We'll bleed blue and yellow until we're feeling mellow? I don't know.
Doesn't quite have the same bite. I was trying to keep the theme of dead and cold. And
I know. I didn't have any time to write it, man. If I had known you were going to put me on the spot, I would have put some effort into it.
Listeners, that phone number for our voicemail open 24/7 is 920-3PACK-GO. We have a couple new injuries on the team coming out of that win against the Vikes that causes me a bit of concern. Raven Green probably will not be playing. He's out indefinitely. And Darnell Savage, questionable. He left the stadium yesterday wearing a boot, I believe.
Mm-hmm. That one was a little scary.
Yeah. It's going to be weather, actually, this week. There's a 40% chance of rain at Lambeau Field early in the day, then turning cloudy with a high of around 71 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 22 degrees Celsius, the coolest game so far this year. But it still sounds like a great day to go 3-0 to me.
How can I argue with you, man? That sounds like a fantastic weekend to me. But I hate winter so much.
Really?
I'm in the Midwest, and I love my summer, man. Bring on the triple digits. But
No.
Oh, dude, I love it hot. It drives all my friends crazy.
Me too.
They gotta have the air conditioning cranked down to like 60, and I'm just like putting on blankets and stuff. But there's something about watching football in the fall when it's nice and crisp outside, and you got to have and hoodie weather. Love watching football in hoodies. But if we could just skip over the winter part of it, it would make me a lot happier.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll let you dream.
Yeah, please do. So you want to move on to the keys to our third Packers victory this week, man?
Anything that has anything to do with the Packers victory, let me hear it.
All right, here's my thoughts. First off, I think we need to come out the gate strong. Even though the last three quarters weren't very exciting offensively against the Vikings, drawing first blood 3 times over was a huge factor for our first win at home this season. We need to do the same thing against the Broncos to build up that momentum and rely on the defense if need be to sustain the lead for the rest of the game. I think that's key. I know it sounds like an easy answer because that's what we did last week, but man, I just want to come out that gate at home in that first quarter. Let's do that again. I'd like to see the momentum keep going beyond the first quarter, but at least kicking in that front door in the beginning of the game is key. Also, I kind of alluded to this earlier, but don't underestimate the Broncos. With coming off of 2 intra-divisional wins in a row, it might be easy to write off Denver as a non-factor, especially since they lost 2 games. But the Pack shouldn't fall prey to this mentality because that's when opponents take advantage and might surprise you. After all, they almost beat the Bears, who kept our game pretty close in week 1.
True that, is the kids say.
True that. Are you woke now?
Absolutely.
My third entry here is penalties. This is a repeat of last week, but can we just please keep the laundry off the field for a game, huh? Can we?
Yes. Let's do that.
And again, our new and improved defense. Yes, another repeat, but it is important. Even if our offense only played 1 quarter, our defense must play all 4 if we're going to make it to 3-0.
Man, put your hands on your podcast player and say yeah to that. Yeah, I'm expecting big things. I think not because they're 0-2 necessarily, but because we're not playing, the Bears. They were expected by many people to win that game. And then when we played the Vikings, we were both 1-0. So anything could have really happened. Mm-hmm. And now we're playing somebody from the AFC. I'm still a little bit burned how they beat us in that Super Bowl. So I know it's a little late for revenge because none of those players are still playing, but yeah. You're
still bitter, man. Oh, that would have been 2 in a row for us. I remember watching that game. I can tell you some stories about that game.
I was way overconfident, even though the Broncos did, they were the rule of the AFC during much of that decade.
Well, yeah, but we beat New England the year before. So we're like, if we can beat New England, we can for sure beat Denver. Yeah, we got this.
Better. So let's get revenge this week.
Exactly.
Tie up that series. Now, on to our crazy game predictions. The final score, again, turned out to be 21-16, with the Packers winning. I thought we were going to win a little bit bigger, 24-10. Relatively close, but Scott, you almost got the score perfect.
I was 1 point off on each of them. My pick was 20-17. It was 21-16, so it was only a 2-point differential for me. I will take that to the bank, sir.
I guess that means you won that week. So now we're tied up, much like how the Broncos and Packers will be after the series this week.
Well, yeah, what was your differential? You had 3 on the Packers score differential and 6 on the Vikings, so a total of 9 differential versus my 2 lowest score wins. It is my week for week 2. Bring on week 3, buddy.
Well, since you did win this past week, how do you think the Packers-Broncos game is going to shake out, with or without rain?
I think it's going to be a little higher scoring game this time around, and I'm going to say Packers 27, Broncos 20.
Higher scoring for both teams.
Yes.
That'll be exciting, and it's still a very close game, which means heart attack Pack.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. I hope I'm wrong.
Except for the part about the Packers winning. Now, I right. think the Packers are going to score about the same. I see the Packers getting just a nice basic 28. 4 touchdowns, 4 extra points, 28 points, and our defense is going to hold the Broncos down to 11.
11? So we getting 3 field goals and a safety? Are we getting a touchdown, an extra point, and a field goal?
Maybe 4 safeties? No. something's going to go wrong for the Broncos, whether it has anything to do with the wet ball or just our stellar defense getting some pick sixes, slowing them down. I don't know. 28-11.
I feel like there's something to do with the spread in that pick of 11. That's an odd pick for a score.
I like to pick
Henderson.
odd scores. You're on to me. Love it. Also, in our Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community, which you can join at packerscommunity.com. Just answer 3 easy questions. All you got to do, answer them. They're easy. Aaron Peterson posted a legitimate question that got a lot of traction. Please tell me again how the first quarter of offense, followed by 3 quarters of meffense, was solely because of McCarthy.
Yeah, there's a lot of great conversation on that question posted in that group, so you will not want to miss that. Head over to there. Really good conversation, but he brings up a good point. How are people still blaming McCarthy?
They can't.
I don't understand how that makes any sense.
I don't either. If people are, they're just grasping at straws.
Also, we got somebody by the name of Lofia who says, for some reason, whenever Aaron Rodgers can't complete a pass, he gives up easily, and that can be a major problem in big games. I don't know. I honestly don't know if I agree with that one, because look at the Chicago game last year. He came, he busted. He was hurt and came out and won. I feel like he, under pressure, is when he starts pulling his Favre moves. And I know that's sacrilegious to some big Favre fans out there to compare the two, but what made Favre so interesting was when he would do those explosive, crazy plays that were just a lot of fun to watch. And that's the only time we really see anything like that, when it's a clutch play from Aaron Rodgers. So that's how I feel about it.
All righty. And Peter Allison, absolute fantastic to get that win against a good team. Plenty of mistakes to iron out that could have us seen walking away with that game with an even bigger victory, but we did improve on week 1, and that's what matters, along with being 2-0.
You can also check out even more conversations happening in our Facebook group at packerscommunity.com. There's plenty of great conversations and articles, including Matt Haig letting us know about Lambeau Field's brand new fancy nachos, among other tasty treats. Lots of mouthwatering photos included. And we're not kidding. I was ready to go to a game. I think I made the mistake of looking at that article around lunchtime. And it was too long to wait for a 3-hour drive to get that stuff, but it was great. Also, some great game day selfies of all of you guys and more, all at packerscommunity.com, which is also awaiting your posts and comments.
Now, why don't we just talk a little bit about the rest of the NFL, some of the highlights and lowlights, just the big news that came out. The Rams, they did win big over the Saints, and Drew Brees has a hand injury that is going to keep him out 6 weeks. And all the times that he's hit his hand on another player's helmet and didn't really suffer any ill will or problems, he just hit his hand on another player's hand, and now he's out 6 weeks. That is scary.
Yeah, I never like to see anybody get injured, especially a quarterback that I respect as much as I do Drew Brees. He's been one of the most consistent quarterbacks in the league for a long time. But at the same time, I was kind of cheering for the Rams after what happened in the game last year.
Oh, yeah, the Saints are again crying about the officiating.
Yeah, so but 6 weeks, that's fantasy players who picked him up early are cringing right now at that loss, because that is a massive loss, and I almost picked him up, so I'm glad I didn't. Yeah.
How about the fantasy players that picked up Ben Roethlisberger?
Oh man, he's got an elbow injury. He's out for the season. I feel like this was a big injury week. There was a lot of high-profile players.
Yeah.
Thankfully, not on the Packers, but lots of injuries this week.
In other ways, it's a very momentous week, because we may have had our last quote-unquote opportunity to ever see an NFL team play a professional football game on a dang baseball diamond full of dirt, or whatever baseball diamonds are made of.
Which
Raiders,
game was that?
The
Raiders
Raiders,
game?
they're the last team to have to play in a baseball stadium and play on dirt. And by the time the Raiders get back from their 2-week road trip, baseball season will be over for the A's, and they can fill in the sod or whatever it is. And we don't have to see any more NFL teams playing on baseball diamonds.
Have you ever seen a game in person at a baseball diamond?
Yes, when the Rams played in Anaheim and shared the stadium with the Angels way back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay. I saw a game at County Stadium, which was the Brewers' old stadium before Miller Park was built. I saw the Vikings play the Packers at that game, and they won. I believe they won. It's a lot of years ago. That was 90s.
It's just not right to play on baseball diamonds, not to play football.
It is a little weird, but how about the Tennessee Titans literally setting the field on fire at their game? Did you see this story?
No. Enlighten me.
So they were, you know how in some of the games when they come out of the tunnel, they've got some pyrotechnics and things going off to excitement for the game.
Right.
Well, one of the pyrotechnic things or something spilled over and was still going and literally set the field on fire in this one corner.
Wow.
They were able to extinguish it very quickly and nobody was hurt. But there's lots of cell phone footage that you can find on YouTube of people filming it. It's just this black billowing smoke because the field was torched. And I wonder if they'll be doing that anymore in the near future.
Safety checks, people.
Also, if you love to play video games as much as I do, please be sure to check out my other podcast, The Gaming Outsider, which can be heard at the same places you listen to this one. We're even hosting our first ever video game convention called R2V2 this Saturday, September 21st, with 3 celebrity voice actresses, including Melissa Hutchison, the voice of Clementine from Telltale's The Walking Dead. For more information, you can head over to thegamingoutsider.com/R2V2.
So needless to say, you've got a huge weekend ahead.
Just a tad. And it's going to be a bummer because I actually have to drive our guests back to the airport and the other one back to a hotel in downtown Chicago on Sunday, the day after. So I don't know when I'm going to see kickoff, man. I don't know when that's going to happen.
Find somebody to stream it to your phone, pull the car over so you can at least see the kickoff.
Oh, I've got Hulu on my phone, so I can ask my guests, do you mind if I pull over really quick and just watch the opening kickoff? It's kind of a thing, and see what they say.
Tell them Wayne says please.
Wayne says please.
And go Pack Go.
What time is this? Do we have the early game or the afternoon game?
It's the early game again. High noon Central. So
I will definitely be in the car on my way to the airport at that point. So
okay.
But don't worry, man. I will watch. Okay. I will watch the kickoff. I promise.
And I recently appeared on a couple of other great podcasts since we last spoke. Remake This Movie Right had a special anniversary episode after they stopped producing them about a year ago, where I join Aaron Peterson and Troy Heinrichs. You've heard of that guy.
Who?
Wayne and Troy with Aaron Peterson. We came up with great ways on how you can remake Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Yeah, that one. We talked about how you could remake it the right way, including casting great actors to play the roles. And since John Williams is kind of retired, wait till you hear who we picked to maybe do the music. Totally different.
It is a fun episode. I've actually listened to it, and I was surprised by how much hatred there was for Episode 1.
Really?
I will agree. It's one of the weakest Star Wars movies. But I was like 19 years old when that came out, and it was so much fun to see that movie in the theater. And Darth Maul made up for a lot of the inequities for me.
Okay. Speaking of movies, I also joined Amanda Sink and Aaron Peterson again, this time on the Hollywood Outsider podcast for a fun, spoilery, creepy discussion of It Chapter 2. If you want to check that out, the Hollywood Outsider, the latest episode.
We'd like to thank you for financially supporting your Packers Fan Podcast via Patreon at patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast. You get a value for value benefits for doing that. We got some special thanks and shout outs here. First off, listener Bryant, who is channeling Packers legend Willie Wood by supporting the show at the $24 monthly level. Do appreciate that. Also, how about those Texas-only Green Bay Packers fanatics and their Facebook group and their $12 a month pledge level in honor of Aaron Rodgers? Really am thankful for those guys and gals.
Absolutely. We've also got some great Brett Favre $4 a month supporters. Lawrence Harvey, also support dedicated to lifelong Packer backer Randy Westgame of Wausau and Jeff Summerfield, and Hardy Go Pack Goes going out to our Curly Lambeau $1 a month supporters, Aaron Peterson from the Hollywood Outsider, Matt Haig, and Hank Davis from the TPE network of podcasts.
Check out how you too can financially support the podcast and have some fun at the level to match your budget by visiting patreon.com/Packers Fan Podcast. Thanks, and go Pack Go. Also, we are the Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast. We are not affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers, but we are definitely open to it. If you would like to contact us, please reach out at media@PackersFanPodcast.com.
And why don't you follow us on Twitter? Be ready for those weekly Twitter polls at Packers Fan Pod. And follow Scott. He's got a lot of things going on. Gaming, football, teaching, all kinds of things at GoCast Scott. I'm at Wayne Henderson. And like we mentioned earlier, please join our Packers Fan Podcast Facebook community at PackersCommunity.com and let us know what you're thinking.
And we really want you to be part of the next episode. So just get your feedback in by Sunday night at 11 p.m. Central. You can go to PackersFanPodcast.com and click the contact button for details. Thank you so much for joining us again on your Packers Fan Podcast.
And be sure to subscribe in Apple Podcasts or your podcast player of choice so you don't miss an episode. Let's have our friends with the Texas-only Green Bay Packers Fanatics group take us out and get us all amped up to crush the Broncos.
This is Dawn down here in Texas, a.k.a. Granny Cheese.
Hi, I'm James.
Hi, I'm Kim.
Hi, I'm Melissa.
Hi, I'm Susan.
Hi, I'm Carrie.
Hi, I'm Lisa Montgomery, and we want to say,
Go Pack Go!